Oh, these aren't working? Is that what he's saying?
So it sounded like.
Like me. These just are not working? Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay, we got monitors up here. I guess they're not working, so. Okay, today is Friday, April 24th, 2026. It's 9:30. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Moore?
I am here.
Commissioner Gallagher?
Here.
Commissioner Riddell?
Here.
We have a quorum. Number 1, investments.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Number 2, appropriations.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Number 3, there were no transfers. Number 4, there were no advances or repayments. Number 5, requisitions.
Just one page. Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Number 6, travel.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Number 7, bills.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion.
Oh, wait, sorry, there's two.
There's two.
Yeah, you did. You moved to approve and seconded.
Yeah.
There's 2 pages if you want to throw it up there, Victor. Second page.
Yeah, we can't tell that it's up there.
I know.
Right. Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Number 8, county commissioners may recess an executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of public employee or official, along with any other matters specifically identified by motion in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 121.22G1 through 8. Unless expressly stated otherwise during executive session, matters discussed in executive session are designated by the county commissioners as confidential. Because of the confidentiality of such matters is necessary for the proper conduct of government business, any disclosure outside of executive session is prohibited by Ohio Revised Code 102.03B. While in executive session, the county commissioners may discuss and deliberate at the matters at issue, but no votes may be taken until open session resumes.
Okay, we will be going into an executive session at probably 10:15. So we'll try to get this through as quickly as we can, so. But at 10:15 is our drop dead date, or drop dead time, so.
Is there any public comment on agenda items?
Yeah, I think I had 2. Brian Baker in regards to item number 11. And William Zimmerman on item number 12.
Good morning,
Morning.
Commissioners. Brian Baker, 49822 Greystone Drive, Brownhill Township. I guess I was just looking for the clarification on what you held over from item 10 from Tuesday till today. It does seem kind of crazy when I look at all the retroactive approvals on the agenda. It seems like, and especially this one really seems like, if there's no claims in 2025, why are we going to go retroactive? That seems like someone didn't maybe follow out what they were supposed to do to get this done, to get it approved. So if we had claims over whatever your stop loss is and they're not going to be paid, that cost us a lot of money at the county level. Because that stop loss, I don't know what your threshold is. I asked for that today, and I hope we would get that information before you vote on this. Thank you for your time.
Yep, thanks. William Zimmerman, item number 12.
William Zimmerman, beautiful Avon Lake. So the questions I have about the emergency management, I'm glad you're getting money and grants and all that kinds of stuff. But the radio service, from what my understanding, because I don't think I've missed very many meetings, is that Mr. Armbruster still hasn't come back and said the state of Ohio has okayed all of this and authorized it. So I don't know what we're doing in regards to that. If I'm incorrect, I apologize, but from everything that I know at this point, he's never come to the meeting and said, we're moving forward with the mark system, everything's been approved, and we're moving on. So it's nice that we're getting some money from it, but it's not the millions that he talked about that everybody wanted to go to the Marks for versus the Harris. Because I live in Avon Lake and we use the Harris, and it's better. And I don't understand why it was originally rescinded by you all when it was already voted in to use the Harris. And so now we're still backtracking to the fact that it was rescinded and we still don't have approval. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any old business? No.
I guess not.
Board business. D, approve and waive the reading of the County Commissioners meeting minutes of April 12th, or I'm sorry, April 21st, 2026.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Gallagher.
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
10, amend Resolution 26-218 adopted April 10th, 26, entering in an employee benefit consulting and brokerage services agreement with the James B. Oswald Company. This amendment is to reflect the inclusion of the business associate agreement effective retroactive to March 1st of 26 through February 28th of 27.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion. Commissioner Gallagher.
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
11, executing the stop-loss contract of medical mutual effective retroactive January 1st of 25 through December 31st of 25.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
You want to mention?
Karen?
So, as you all know, we're trying to go through some of our processes and see where we can be a little bit more efficient in trying to get our tasks done. And Medical Mutual of Ohio had contacted us in regards to some missing signed documents. So we sat down with the leadership at MMO and also with the prosecutor's office to go through to see what we were missing and what we were not missing. So these two stop-loss agreements did come up in the discussion. The stop-loss agreement for 26, all the information was received, and the commissioners did pass a resolution to authorize that contract. We just did not sign that contract and get it back to Medical Mutual. The agreement for 2025 was not yet approved by the board, and that's what's on the agenda today for approval for the stop-loss. The stop-loss is a part of the actuary report that we receive at the end of the year, every year, with regards to our health care and our premium costs. So this document was presented to the board both in 25 and 26 in December of that year. The threshold amount is included in Exhibit A as a part of the contract, and the amount is $500,000 per covered person. That was in both 2025 and 2026. There were 43 claims in 2025 and 48 claims in 2024. And that information is noted in the actuarial report that we receive every year, and that in conjunction with Medical Mutual is how they prepare the contract and set our premium rates. So the actuarial report is prepared by Steve Parsons. He's with the Chelco Group. And the stop-loss contract is prepared by Medical Mutual, and that is based on the actuarial report. The specific stop-loss premium rates per month, which are in Exhibit A of the contract, for 2026, single 4317, family 11911. For 2025, single is 3454, family is 9529. So I'm hoping that that explains the situation and where we're at today. So 26 is good. We just need to approve 25 and get that signed and back to Medical Mutual. Now, we did make arrangements with Medical Mutual for any future contracts that they will be following the county's process, which is submitting them in advance for the prosecutor's review, signed by Medical Mutual first, and then to this board for signature. So fingers crossed that we've got that process all cleaned up and it'll be a little smoother for December of this year.
Very good. And two things I think that go to the heart of the questions that were asked, and the first and most important is those claims that you mentioned in 25 and 24, they were all paid correctly?
That is correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
and the
it's
stop,
it's not a matter of, the insurance didn't pay our claims. They behaved as if there was a contract and that we were just doing house cleaning and, trying to get our house in order. And we do have a new prosecutor who's trying to really take care of all the processes, which leads to the second one, as I researched it, and that is that we as a county, we require the contract to come to us signed so it knows what we're passing a resolution on. If we were to sign it first and then return it for their signature, there would be an opportunity for change to occur, and then we'd have to come back and reprocess it again.
right, and I mean, Medical Mutual is a pretty large organization. And a lot of times over the years, we've discovered that it takes them a long time to get it through their processes for signature. And we've struggled with being able to get a fully executed copy of a contract back. So again, we've kind of sat down with leadership. They understand what our requirements are, and they've agreed to meet those requirements. So hopefully going forward, we'll have a smoother process.
Very good.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Anything further? Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Gallagher.
Aye.
Under Emergency Management, 12, accept the Emergency Management Performance Grant in the amount of $116,512 from the State of Ohio Emergency Management Agency. This will be used to further protection provided to the residents of Lorain County through the implementation of programs, planning, and exercises.
Move to approve?
Second?
Discussion.
Yep.
Commissioner Gallagher?
Nope, I said yep.
I know. Commissioner Gallagher?
No, I said yes.
Oh, you want discussion?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes.
Nope, yes.
Okay. Trying to get a grasp. This is basically funding for protection provided to the residents of Lorain County through implementations of programs, planning, and exercises. That's what this is. Has nothing to do with radios, okay? It was kind of it was really nice to see after 3 years that of people fighting about radios that it's getting resolved. Last night, I got a text from the Fire Chief Association. It was pretty nice from somebody that was there. It said, tonight at the Fire Chief meeting, Chief Weatherby, you may know him from coming to our meetings 3 years ago, announced that the Wellington Fire District was going to convert to the MARC system and that there would be no more complaining about the radio system at the chief's meetings. So that was a nice little text last night. We're hopefully, now that the leaves are starting to come on the trees, the state of Ohio can do their final testing to give us a clear, bill of health, I don't know if that's the right word, but because it was about 3 weeks late, we couldn't do and get the 100% certification because the leaves were down. So that's what the state of Ohio is waiting on. So sometime in June, we'll be doing a presentation and probably a update on that. And then we'll be announcing some other programs to help those communities to help fund some of their issues in order so that they can, their systems can be implemented, which is what the whole process was about. We don't really care which radio you buy, but it should be interoperable so that everyone can choose whatever radio you want, but we shall be able to communicate. And that's the best thing about this product, that this board fixed and corrected. So thank you.
It's not anything to do with radios.
Exactly.
May
But,
I?
oh yeah, well, of course. You and I took the biggest abuse for it.
But this is, and again, the backup is there, and when we post these, clerk, is the backup posted on the website? No?
No, that's the thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is unfortunately, questions that were raised that when we do the resolution, it kind of assumes that we know everybody knows what we're doing. But the EMA and this grant, this is to help fund our tactical teams, which is the swift water rescue, the confined space rescue, and the hazmat. So that's what EMA controls. They don't have anything to do with the radios and so forth. But we support our hazmat teams, and they are a collection of first responders from all over the county, and that's who handles the hazmat.
Nope. So you might have a resolution that you'll see, which is what we publish, but there's usually 3 to 4 pages to each resolution with what the contract, services, and what they provide, so.
Right.
Anything further? Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
I,
Job and Families 13, amend Resolution 25614 adopted September 12th to 25, authorizing Lorain County Safe Harbor Corp. to provide shelter for domestic violence victims and domestic violence victim families in Lorain County using the TANF funds. This amendment is to increase the contract by $100,000 for the total contract amount not to exceed $292,500, and this will be paid from the TANF account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
I,
Stormwater Management 14, award stormwater services contract to K.E. McCartney Mansfield in the amount not to exceed $1.3 million for the next 5-year NPDES permit, effective retroactive to January 1st of 26. This will be paid from the Stormwater Professional Services account.
so moved.
Second,
Discussion.
do we have,
I don't think Don,
Donna's not here?
no.
Okay. I think just the only question I would do for the public's, review is what is the NT?
National Pollution Discharge Elimination System.
What's
You
that?
gotta say it louder than that.
I believe it's National
National-
Pollution. Now, I forgot
Discharge
what I just said.
elimination system.
Correct, thank you. Forgot what I just said.
And you got 30 years.
At least 12.
Is there anything further? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Children's Services, 15, request Lorain County Auditor pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 5705.03 to certify Lorain County Board of Commissioners the total current tax valuation of Lorain County and the dollar amount of revenue that would be generated by a .3 mil additional levy for the purpose of Lorain County Children's Services under 5705.24. This is an additional levy for 5 years to be placed on the ballot for November 3rd to 26.
So moved.
Second,
Discussion.
yes, Kirsten Fox Berkey, the Executive Director, would you want to speak to this? Or are you? Oh, okay, so that's a no. I'll take that as a no. Well, no, I just thought, you can pump up what you're doing. That's how I see it. Because let's just
Tell
say-
us why.
Well, not why, just, we know why. I think we need to make sure that people, I think this is your way, this is your official kickoff, I'm going to call it, okay?
I would agree with you, yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much. It's good to see everybody this morning. I am Kristen Fox from Children's Services, and we are the county agency that's responsible for investigating and assessing child abuse and neglect allegations in the county. The reason I'm here today is because we are looking to put an additional levy of .3 mils on the ballot in November. The reason for that has to do with increasing costs that we have experienced because of more children in care, but also because of much higher, very large increases in placement costs. From 21 to 25, those costs increased by 185%. This is not just a Lorain County issue, this is across the state. All of the public children's services agencies in the state of Ohio are experiencing this hardship. We do have children in our care, and we want to make sure that they are receiving the best care that we're able to provide for them. And for many children, that includes being placed in placement settings here in Lorain County, in neighboring counties throughout the state, and in congregate care, which includes group homes and residential centers, who have increased their per diems. I can't even try to explain that, but those increases have been so high that it's been difficult for us with our budget to keep up with that. I would just add that I firmly believe that at Children's Services, we take our responsibility very seriously when it comes to being stewards of the public's money. And we have tried very difficult to manage with what we receive, but it has just become blatantly obvious that we are going to have to do something different, and that's why I'm here today.
Okay, how's the new facility doing?
That's doing very well. The feedback we've received are that that's our connection center, And the feedback we've received from families and children is that they like the space. The visitation rooms are a huge upgrade from what they had before. So everything's going well. We have our independent living services out there as well. And they're using that for their groups and for some daily living skills that they teach the kids. Thank you. And I appreciate, everybody at Children's Services appreciates the support all of you gave us in regards to being able to open that center.
Thank you.
Mr.
Deserve.
President.
Oh, go ahead.
You do a nice job.
Oh.
Thank you.
Just for those that are following process and so forth, the way that this works is this resolution is being asked for by the director and the board of Children's Services, which is an independent board that manages the levy funding. And they're looking for an increase, so it comes through the commissioners to request the auditor to tell them what the levy that they think will provide, and then the board will make a decision whether to proceed with that levy or adjust the amount of the levy up or down in order to meet their needs. But this is not general fund money, but as with all things financial, there's a role that it goes through the commissioners just so that there's public exposure like there is today.
One clarification, it went up 185%? Wow, big jump.
It was a huge jump, yes.
Well, also, the news that we received yesterday, which I know, I'm sure, maybe you don't know, the petition drive to abolish taxes, whatever side you're on for or against, they're short about 300,000 signatures, and I don't think they'll be able to get that in 2 months, so.
I did watch the press.
Did you watch? Yeah, I
conference.
figured everybody that's funded, because I thought you said, 51% of your budget is?
About 52% of our budget comes directly from the levy. The additional comes from state and federal funding.
Right, and that's why I think people like yourself and all of us have been watching to see, is it going to be on the ballot in November? So now I think the problem, or depending on which side of how you feel about that issue, is it's an open-ended petition drive, which means they can continue and put it on the ballot in '27. So I think we're all going to have to keep an eye on that in order to, for us, to see how we're going to move in the future, so. Okay.
Have work to do to promote it.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Anything further? Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
16, authorize and rescind various personnel and children's services utilize the agency's MasterCard for the year 2026, not to exceed 2,500, in accordance with the ORC and the permissible policy.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
17, approve a tentative agreement and authorizing an agreement with the International Union United Automobile, Aerospace, and Agriculture Implement Workers of America, Local 2192, Lorain County Children's Services, Case 2024, MED 121432, effective retroactive January 1st of 26 through March 31st of 28.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Engineer 18, approve and enter a subdivider agreement with Stratton Corners LTD LLC for Stratton Corners Subdivision Number 1 in Amherst Township. Subdivider has submitted proof of ownership, evidence of payment of taxes, certification of insurance, and engineer's estimated construction cost with approved engineering plans and specification, and agrees to bear all costs and expenses and improvements completed by the subdivider agreement, and to pay all plan review, inspection, and testing fees.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
19, approve and enter a subdivider agreement with EWGC Development Group LLC for Emerald Subdivision 14, Columbia Township. Subdivider has submitted proof of ownership, evidence of payment of taxes, certification of insurance, and engineer's estimate of construction costs with approved engineering plans and specifications, and agrees to bear all costs and expenses of the improvement contemplated by the subdivider agreement, and to pay all plan review, inspection, and testing fees.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
20, Health Department, request Lorain County Auditor pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 5705.03 to certify to Lorain County Board of Commissioners the total current tax valuation of Lorain County that has territorially located in Lorain County and the dollar amount of revenue that would be generated by a .5 mil for the purpose of Lorain County General Health District under 3709.29, 5705.191, and 5705.192. This is a renewal levy for 5 years to be placed on November 3rd, 26 ballot.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion.
I think this should be noted, this is very similar to the children's services. It's part of the process.
Anything further? Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Sheriff, 21, executing 25 Bryan Justice Memorial Assistance Grant interlocal agreement between the City of Lorain, City of Elyria, and Lorain County. City of Elyria will be the administrator of the grant and will receive $15,000, along with the City of Elyria, and the county will receive $14,764.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
22, authorize sheriff to enter in a one-year professional janitorial service agreement with Gergley's Maintenance King Supplies and Services, Inc., Lorain, in the amount of $5,405 per month, and this will be paid from the contractual services account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yep. Karen?
So, as you all recall, this was on the agenda on Tuesday's meeting, and we put it on hold to get some additional information, answer some questions. So I had an opportunity to speak with the sheriff's office in regards to the contract that was presented and ask the questions on whether or not we were able to use trustees, have they used trustees, and, how all that works. So I got educated a little bit. I says, back in the older days, you were able to use trustees to clean. And today, things are a little different. You cannot mandate that they do that work. You have to take volunteers. And it's difficult for the sheriff's staff to get volunteers to do cleaning. They do volunteer to work in the kitchen because apparently they get food if they do that. So the reward isn't enough for them to actually do the physical cleaning. And this has been going on for a couple of years. So this isn't the first year. We did approve a contract in October to provide these same services. That contractor did not work out, so that contract has been terminated. So this would be a replacement to that contract for 2026. There was a long history here with regards to, they did at one time have a full-time employee that was doing the cleaning of the offices and the areas that the inmates could not clean. And again, that person is no longer an employee of the sheriff's office. This contract provides an efficient way to keep up with the cleaning, so it's 3 days a week. They are already working with Gergley's to do some, I want to call it more extensive cleaning, just to get the place up to snuff so that they can maintain it as we go on throughout the year. So everybody seems happy with the agreement. I know it's been approved by the prosecutor's office and now the sheriff's office, and now we're looking to the commissioners to do their thing and make things work out.
And it's a local vendor.
It is a local vendor.
Anything further? Commissioner Riddell?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Deputy Administrator?
Oh, I do have one thing. I almost forgot. This is a pretty big announcement. Lorain County Transit, as everybody knows, we started our microtransit service in 2024. That service is basically in two zones, the cities of Lorain, the city of Elyria. And we've talked about it for almost 2 years now, trying to come up with a way to transfer from those two zones. So we have implemented a new transfer hub at the Ohio Means Jobs location, which is at 42485 Northridge Road. So the way it would work is, say you're in Elyria, you need to get to Lorain. You would book your on-demand service to the Ohio Means Jobs location, and then from Ohio Means Jobs, you can get the microtransit service into Lorain, or vice versa. This is a test pilot to see how well this works. We do plan on implementing additional hub spots throughout the county, but we chose to do it here at the county's property just for efficiency purposes, and then we can monitor how well the traffic flows between the two cities. So that service is available today, and we'll report out maybe in about 60 days on how well we're doing.
In the event that, they're dropped off at one of these hubs, is there a shelter that's going to be there, or is there one? How does that work?
Yes, there is a shelter at Ohio Means Jobs, so that shelter does exist.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure if it's raining.
Got to keep them in from the cold, too.
In the cold.
And that completes my report,
Okay.
Madam Clerk.
Thanks.
Thank you. Just as a reminder, next Thursday at 3 PM, we'll have our joint public hearing with the Commissioners and County Planning on subdivision regulations. At 3:45, we'll have a special Commissioners meeting regards to the same thing, and 3:50, Special Planning Commission regards to the same thing. For correspondence,
Move to waive the reading of the board correspondence.
Second.
discussion. Commissioner Riddell.
Aye.
Commissioner Gallagher.
Aye.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Is there any new business?
Don't look like it.
No public comment.
Okay. We got about 35 minutes of public comments. Unfortunately, we got 11 minutes, so we will try to do the best we can. So just make sure we ask that you observe all the standards of decorum that's on the sheet that you fill out on page 1. Comments should address county issues, policies, programs, or actions and be directed to the board as a whole. You know, these personal attacks, name calling, abusive character statements, profane language, threats, shouting, outbursts, interruptions, and other disrupt conduct will not be permitted. Disagreements are welcome, but it must be expressed respectfully. So please try to observe the allotted time limit. Speakers who fail to follow these standards may be ruled out of order and asked to conclude their remarks. So, just please, when you get up there, state your name and address, because I think when you went down to one of the meetings, they say we have to do that. So, so anyway, Dan Wilson. Yep, there we go. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Okay, good morning. My name is Dan Wilson. I live at 14400 Meadow Creek Lane in LaGrange. I'd like to speak to you today about the Kellner Ditch Project. For anyone who doesn't know about the Kellner Ditch Project, the Kellner Ditch is a stormwater ditch. It runs from the center of LaGrange in a northerly direction and empties into the Black River. The ditch project was intended to, or is intended to, restore some flow to help with some flooding issues in and around LaGrange. And a small section of this ditch goes across my private property. So Commissioners Riddell and Moore, you may recall, or you may not, that I voiced some concerns at the final ditch hearing in October 2024. And my objections weren't against the ditch project itself, but rather how my property rights were being violated. The portion of the ditch that crosses my backyard is on my private property, and I'd like to stress that. It's on my private property. There's no easement, no right-of-way established. While a majority of the ditch is contained within these easements, like I said, that is not my case. At the final ditch hearing and repeatedly since then, I've requested my property rights be respected and protected by establishing this legal right-of-way. And I've asked Mr. Romanchik repeatedly about this multiple times, and his responses to date seem, at least in my opinion, not in line with the Ohio Revised Code, and they simply just defy logic. My concerns voiced at the final ditch hearing were dismissed, and Commissioner Rydell, you told me actually at the end of the hearing, not in so many words, but basically if I didn't like what was being done to me, to get a lawyer. And rather than take 5 minutes to consider that maybe I had a legitimate gripe, you cast aside my concerns, likely knowing that most people wouldn't have the resources or time to pursue legal action, and or that you could hide behind legislative immunity if legal action was taken. So your heedless suggestion strikes me as odd, as well as I've repeatedly heard you guys talk about how much spending is allocated to litigation. So anyway, the ditch project moved forward. On March 21st, 2025, workers came through. They cleared a 25-foot swath of land on the west side of the ditch, which again is on my private property. Trees, bushes, and brush were cut down and left in piles, and there were large ruts left from the excavator, and much of this debris is still in my backyard. It's been over 13 months now that it's been sitting there. And my patience is worn thin. The access and use of my private property has been restricted for over 13 months. You, and I don't mean you three, but you as in the county, the workers, the stormwater management group, county engineer, you, the collective you, created and left a hazard and eyesore on my property. It's been over 13 months since I've been able to safely access this section of my property without fear of tripping on a stump or a rut or falling and impaling myself on jagged debris. So I realize projects like this take time, and the most recent excuse for the delay in the project is it's wet back by the ditch. And I certainly agree with that. It is wet, and it's certainly more wet now than it was before all the trees and brush were decimated back there. What I can say though is that it wasn't muddy back in March 2025 when they came through and made the mess. and it wasn't muddy in April of 2025, or May, or June, or July, or August, or September, or October, or November. Might have been muddy in December, January, I don't know, but it's long enough that it was not muddy. It's been 13 months. So the last communication I received from Mr. Romanchik indicated workers would be making progress in the ditch in my area last week, and that the work would be completed by June 1st. And as in the past, when promised dates came and went, nothing was done last week, nothing's been done this week. So I think it's time for someone to take control of this project and drive it to completion. Based on this experience, my opinion of the commissioners and the county personnel involved in the ditch project and other projects around Lorain County has changed significantly over this last year. You talk a lot about wanting citizens to trust you. You talk a lot about transparency, and you wonder why people are endorsing your opponents in elections. Well, when you treat citizens as if we're your minions, disregard our concerns because they seem trivial to you, and trample our legal rights, trust evaporates pretty quickly. So with that, I'd like to leave you with a quote for you to ponder. I heard this quote a couple weeks ago, and I think it's pretty apropos as I read articles like the one in yesterday's Chronicle, and I watch what's going on around Lorain County politics. And it's a quote by Dr. Rick Rigsby. And Dr. Rigsby said, "Ego is the anesthesia that deadens the pain of stupidity." Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Otis? Lovejoy?
We don't have much time. The next person.
I know. Well, this. Candace?
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Candace McIntosh, 123 Forest Hill Drive. I just want to let you guys know that we are receiving an overwhelming amount of support from the community, an overwhelming support of elected officials, people who are running for elections, and many people in this building, if not the majority of people in this building. I really don't know what is holding you guys up from making actions towards our negotiations, but we would really like for you to come back to the table, as would the majority of the people in the county. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Tammy?
Tammy McGinnis, 502 Vermont Road. So you guys are elected by the people for the people, correct? So the majority of the citizens don't want the data center or the mega site. Shouldn't you take that into consideration, considering you're working for us? And if you truly feel that the data center or the mega site is beneficial for this county, then release the facts to show exactly what the benefits are going to be. Your constituents deserve to know if the gains will offset the expenditures. What kind of businesses or organizations are interested in or going to be involved in this site? Will there be enough employment opportunities to help the county raise the most vulnerable out of the current poverty situation? If you want the public to buy into this rhetoric of how great it's going to be for the county and bring in so many jobs, but you guys can't even give bids to construction companies in our county. Let's be honest, the public would be more inclined to buy into this if you were actually transparent about what you're doing with our funds. You sit there meeting after meeting with smug and disgusted glares, hearing or half hearing and listening to the public's concerns, and still go against them. If you truly know something that the public doesn't, sway our opinions with facts, not the fabricated stuff you keep putting on social media and the government page about JFS. Our county is so poverty-stricken that there is a multitude of households that qualify for SNAP and Medicaid, including JFS employees. It's not because we live above our means or because we've had too many children. It's because of the inadequate base pay and the economy. People can't even afford basic necessities. Shouldn't we be trying to raise each other up instead of continually putting people down? Saying that employees are being greedy and by asking to be able to live is showing that you guys have no empathy for the county that you serve. You say greedy and asking too much, as if wanting to be able to feed our families and pay our bills is greed. But you just gave your assistants $2 an hour raises. In my opinion, $1 an hour for JFS employees is no longer enough. But that's just me.
Thanks, Tammy. Okay, make a motion to go into executive session based on the comment, or based on clerk's, yeah, thanks for interrupting. Based on the comments made, that you, on item number 8, in regards, also we'll be discussing contracts, and we'll be discussing real estate. I'm adding that to what you stated, okay? Add that to the motion, okay? That's my motion.
Second.
Discussion. Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Gallagher?
Aye.
Commissioner Dow?
All right.
Listen. Here, spoke. Go ahead.
Commissioners have reconvened from executive session.
Okay. Hey, thank you, everybody, for waiting. Sorry about that, but sometimes things happen. So, Gene Gentile, we're back in the public comment section of our meeting. Good
Hi,
morning.
Jen Gentili.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. You're fine.
Gentili.
So I don't know if you remember me, but I was here when the strike started. I'm Jennifer. I live at 76 Westwoods, Amherst.
Thank you.
I am a business office manager at a Lorain County nursing home, and I'm a former JFS worker. So last time I was here, I took about a week to write something up to like bring up different scenarios that this strike is causing for my patients and their families. I spent a lot of time and I just felt like I wasn't heard. So I'm just kind of winging this one. So instead of talking about possible scenarios, I'll tell you what's going on firsthand. So I spoke on a family that was cut by insurance and needed Medicaid in order to remain in the facility. I turned in every documentation, application, all of that stuff. I even pleaded with the long-term care supervisor to please get this done because this family desperately needs these benefits. He did eventually want to take her home, and he wasn't comfortable with waiting for the application processing time because we had no idea with them being on strike how long it would take. So he took her home. It never got done. It's still not done to this day. I turned in an application for a family in March, and we have received no information. I submitted the application, all of the documentation to process the case, and I have been told that all new applications are being distributed to a case bank and will be worked on upon the caseworkers when they come back from strike, and they'll be round-robined out. So they're only working on cases right now that were submitted in, I think, November. So it's just going to sit there. And families are upset because there's nothing like the sigh of relief to know that this is done. This Medicaid application is processed. There's nothing more that they need to do. It's done. Their loved one can stay and have the benefits, and nobody has to come up with any money. It's a difficult process. So that's what I've heard, that basically it's not being worked on. For renewals, I have 4. They're just sitting and waiting. I spoke to a supervisor about those renewals that I submitted with all of the documentation. They said that if the renewal is turned in timely, it'll be checked off in the system, and then it'll just sit there. So it shouldn't be closing. So it's just gonna, again, just sit there.
Okay.
It's unfortunate, and there's no other answers. I know there's people in the community. Our cases are in the long-term care department. So I'm just trying to give information to the community too as to what's going on, because nobody's even talking about how this is affecting those people. I know there was somebody that spoke to a community member that had a waiver and theirs was closed. So, I mean, that's the only information that I have. I would just ask that you guys just talk. I mean, I've come to file a bureau with the Bureau of State Hearing. I filed the state hearing for inaction. Ohio Administrative Code 5160-1-2-01K2 says that these applications should be at least touched within 45 days, and it has been longer than that. So I don't know what else to do except start throwing stuff at the wall. So I'm going to wait for that state hearing. Like I said, all the documentation has been turned in, so the case can be processed, but the long-term care supervisor is the only one working these cases in these departments, and she's a friend of mine. So I know she's stretched thin, because not only are they going to be down one worker because somebody quit when they go back, they were working on cases from November. So you know, the longer that you sit and you're talking about you don't have the money, well, they were already doing overtime before they left because the processing, that there's just not enough hands to process these cases. So when they come back, you're just going to be divvying out all this overtime to try to catch up anyways. So it just makes sense that you guys just talk.
Thank you.
Talk.
Thank you, Jen. Diana Green? Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Good.
Okay, I just want to say, Diane Green, 2532 West 40th Street, Lorain, Ohio. I am an 18-year employee of Job and Family Services. I make $17.56. I have to say, I don't like being out on strike. I want to work. I hate being out here. It hurts me. It really hurts me. It hurts them to be out here, but really hurts the community. They are out there. They're hungry. They don't know what's going on. The elderly don't know what's going on. They don't live in our time. They don't understand computers. They don't know social media. They don't know anything. They rely on us to talk for them. They don't know anything. I know if my mother was alive, she always used to say, I don't live in this world. When I'd say, Mom, just look at this, look at this. I don't live in this world. So I know how they feel. They don't understand things. We are their voice. And if you think like you want to hire people just to go in there and hire new people, that's not going to work. They don't have experience. I have 18 years there. And when I would get put on the call center, that's not my job. And I'm not a caseworker, and I don't know all the answers, but when I'd be put on the call center, and I wasn't trained for that, and I'd get questions, but hearing how other people talked and through the 18 years, I gathered a lot of information, so I could answer a lot of the questions. People in there, they don't know how to answer them if you just throw them in there. Your experience, people are out on strike. The answers are on the line. They have the answers. They have the experience. Somebody going in there, they're not going to know. And it's going to cost you more in the long run when everything comes back a mess. Don't act brand new. You don't know. You know what's going inside that, and you just say, it's upside down in there. We're so backloaded. Please, just talk on the table,
Okay.
please.
Thanks, Diane.
Thank you.
Yeah. Michelle Ramus?
Good morning, Michelle Ramos,
Good morning.
Lorain, Ohio. I'm actually reading a statement from Sarah Noonan, who had to leave. Good morning. I am here today to speak on behalf of the people of Lorain County, not only those connected to Job and Family Services, but our broader community. I want to begin with a single word that matters in both law and public trust: malice. To explain what malice can look like and how courts may view it, consider a business example. Suppose Mr. Gallagher owns a company in the tanning industry. Imagine that his customer list is compromised, and soon his customers begin receiving messages meant to damage his reputation, accusations that he cannot come to the table in good faith, that he does not stand behind the people he serves, and that he does not honor the values he claims to represent. A relative of mine owns a tanning salon. If they receive those messages and believe them, they might stop doing business with his company. One customer may seem small at first, but reputational harm spreads quickly and the consequences can grow. Now imagine that as the situation escalates, a shipment is never delivered, products arrive damaged, or a recall becomes necessary. A responsible business does not ignore the impact. It communicates, corrects the problem, and makes customers whole, because integrity is not a slogan. It is demonstrated through actions. Public service should be held to that same standard. Decisions made by leaders Mr. Moore and Mr. Riddell and others in positions of authority carry real consequences for real people. And just as one bad review can multiply into many, one failure of accountability can erode trust across an entire community. Laws at their core are a social contract. They function only when people believe they will be applied fairly and enforced consistently. Without meaningful enforcement and accountability, laws become little more than words on paper. Finally, I want to speak to the principle of collective bargaining. While it is often discussed in the context of unions, the idea is broader than that. It is the practice of coming together, negotiating in good faith, and reaching workable agreements. In many ways, we engage in that process every day as neighbors, as employees, and as members of this county. I will always stand with the working people of Lorain County because they are the backbone of our community and our local economy. I am asking this body to choose good faith engagement, transparency, and accountability so that trust can be restored and maintained. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sandra Jensen?
Sandra Jensen, 617 Lafayette Boulevard, Sheffield Lake, $17.77 an hour after 10 years of service. I'm here to talk about legacy, and I just wonder, we all want to be remembered in a good way. I have 2 children, both are in public service. My son is in the military, he hopes to be a lifer. My daughter was employed as a child support enforcement agency investigator. When they were young, I always encouraged them to be, good people and, just be nice. And I always also encourage them to be nice to the parents of their friends because it's the right thing to do. And I hope for them to eventually experience what I experienced as a 30-year-old, going to the grocery store and running into, like, maybe Teresa's mom, if we had been friends in school, and getting a hug and a kiss because she remembered me as being a good person. You can't really put a price on that. But anyway, since we've been on strike, I get calls from people, Facebook messages, blah, blah, blah. But lately, since you started posting for jobs, I've been getting, like, Facebook message posts, friends saying, what the heck? How can they post jobs? That they can't do that. That's just crazy. I had someone come message me. Well, actually, we were out in public, and she said, no decent person would cross a picket line. You can't even imagine that. The other night, I got a call. It was a late night call from my ophthalmologist because I'm in the process to get some surgery. And she lives on the east side of Cleveland, and she wanted to know what the heck is going on with my job because she knows I work for Lorain County. She said, what the heck? And she has no interest in really, but except she knows I work here. And so she was concerned. And I said, well, we'll get through this. And then last week, I got a call from our financial planner. They wanted to do a checkup with my husband and me because he's 70, I'm 63. It's time for a checkup. We went in yesterday, and I said, we're not quite ready. We're still, motoring on. And you know why they wanted to have a checkup? Because they know I'm on strike, and they think the whole situation is just crazy. And so we had a good meeting, and we talked about our options. But a lot of people are just aware, and they think it's kind of crazy what we're all going through. So, when I think about the legacy I leave, I think about getting hugs in the grocery store from the parents of my friends, and I want to be remembered as a nice people who try to do good things. But maybe it doesn't matter to you. But
Okay.
let's get back
Thanks.
to the table, okay?
Thanks, Sandra. Ashley Dawson?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Ashley Lawson, 4632 Quincy Adams Court in Lorain.
I have been at JFS for 7.5 years. I come from 16 years of banking and finance background. I left because I wanted to make a difference in the community that I come from and to help the most vulnerable. And I truly do love my job. I'm here to make a small but crucial point. We are arguing over 3 things: $1 more an hour, retro pay, and the fact that the new hires are coming in making more than those of us, some of them up to 15 years. You have acknowledged that we need a 20% increase for new hires. For my position specifically, which is a grade 28, which is the majority of the workers at JFS, that 20% brings the starting wage up by $3.98. Putting them at $1.80 more per hour than I am making with 7.5 years of experience. If you drop that percentage to 15%, it would raise the starting wage by $2.98, which is exactly $1. How ironic. If you gave us the $1 and still gave them the 15%, which is your math, it's the same amount of money. But we would still be making a tiny bit more than these new hires, which could potentially keep some of us around. That is what you call a negotiation. We have agreed to your pattern, and the retro pay, well, that's a no-brainer. We worked it. We should get paid for it. We are honestly fine on the line, while inside and throughout the community is falling apart. Please consider my suggestion and go back to the table.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. Shauna Hatfield.
Shauna Hatfield, LaGrange. Good morning.
Morning.
First, I would like to reiterate to you that JFS is not running efficiently at all without the 115 trained workers that are out here on strike. We keep seeing information provided by your Facebook page, which insinuates you're trying to negotiate publicly with the entire county and not with our bargaining committee. You say new hires will be making 20% more, putting them at a higher wage than some that have dedicated years or even a decade or more to their jobs at JFS. So how many of you will be seeking employment elsewhere if new hires are making more? Thank you. How is it that you can afford to not only train 115 new employees at 20% higher starting pay, but you can't afford the dollar we're seeking with retro pay and have the ability to have JFS, an agency mandated for the county to provide, run efficiently with just a handful of trained caseworkers? The handful you have in the agency right now will be forced to train these people unless you're counting on the one child support trainer and the one public benefits trainer to train all of the workers you'll need to replace. Hiring all new employees, which is not only a higher cost, but will also reduce production for at least a year at a time when clients are already having benefits erroneously discontinued and child support establishment and enforcement not being kept up with. Not to mention, if you don't know, federal funding for SNAP is directly based on error rates. So when that error rate increases even more than it already has, the state will look at you for answers, and so will the residents of this county. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Otis? Good morning.
Morning, Commissioners. So I always come up here and I talk about the things that I've learned in life, growing up in the community and what I've learned from my father. Today, I got something a little different on my mind. My mom always tells me, have you prayed about it? When there's something I'm going through, that's always her answer. Well, have you prayed about it? Have you talked to God? Sometimes I don't like to hear it, and sometimes I feel like, you know what, you are not hearing the issue that I'm presenting. One thing doesn't have anything to do with the other. Truth of the matter, God has to do with everything. In the end, we have to report to God on the decisions we make and what we do and how we carry out our lives. And I want you guys to think about, at some point, you will be held accountable with God for the decisions you've made, both in your personal life and in the roles that you are called to fill. Right now, the role you're called to fill is a county commissioner. If you have, you got in those positions because I'm assuming you wanted to make change in your communities. Part of making change in your community is making the decisions that are good for your community, helping people out, providing for the poor and the weak, and just bettering the area, leaving it in a better situation than it was when you got there. Also, we're part of that area. We're part of that community. Part of instilling a community that's flourishing and surviving, you got to have people who want to be in the community. A lot of people move out of Elyria and Lorain County in general, and they go to different areas. A lot of times it's because they can't afford to live here. The jobs here, they're not making enough money to be able to sustain themselves, so they go elsewhere. And then some of the people, they get those jobs and they don't want to be here because they look around and they don't see the growth. You got a staff here of people that love this community, that want to see the best of this community. They're not leaving because they want to be able to help those around them. And I just ask you to just invest in those people, invest in your community. It'll pay off. And it's just, if you can't invest in this community, how do you expect to be able to go on and do other things? No matter if it's owning a business and having your business flourish, or whether it's if you have desires to move up in politics and move on to a different level. It's not going to work if you can't build what you got. I just want to leave that for you guys to think about. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in, Otis. Appreciate you. That is it. We are adjourned. Thank you.